What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Bob Arum. Get this from Michael Benson. Bob Arum has now stated that the Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight is dead in the water for July, August. He said he thinks it will take months for the Saudi deal to be completed, despite Eddie Hearn insisting otherwise. And so both men should have other fights next. Okay. Let me counterpunch people. I think Bob Arum has been against this fight from the very, very beginning. I don't think that he wanted this fight. I don't think that he really respected this fight. And here are some of the reasons. For one, when the mediation was going on with Deontay Wilder, right, and all that before the arbitration, but the mediation was going on, he was trying to smooth over the idea to Shelly Finkel or Team Wilder that Joshua won't win anyway. So since Joshua won't win, that means Pulev will beat Joshua, and then Pulev will be the new unified heavyweight champion. And then we won't have to worry about a Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua fight anyway. Okay, because they already agreed, like in principle, like almost a year ago. Okay, back in 20. That's one. Two, Tyson Fury at the time, when he decided to part ways from the idea of fighting Deontay Wilder, said that he wanted to fight, which, hell, he ain't fought since, so that makes no sense. But at the end of the day, they were one of the reasons they kept pushing that fight back, because they were wanting a venue. Okay, they were wanting a live crowd. After Tyson Fury picked his opponent or whatnot, and then Frank Warren was, saying everything was, he was talking like Eddie Hearn is now about this deal, but he was saying it was signed, sealed, delivered. He said Caballo, accepted the money. All we need to do is send the contract to him so he can sign it and then send the shit back, right? And then all of a sudden that vanished. That fight was off. And the reason for that is because there was no money. Okay. And since then, we've been hearing about a potential fight for the longest with AJ and Tyson Fury and these. Now, we have Bob Arum. We have Frank Warren. We even have John Fury. They were pretty much saying all the same things. They were worried about Tyson Fury not having a fight since then. They didn't like the idea of Joshua just fighting in December, where Tyson Fury just fought in February. And you hear Tyson Fury himself talking about other athletes or other fighters that have been beaten by lesser opponents because they didn't have a tune-up fight. Okay, so if you look at Tyson Fury, John Fury, Frank Warren, now Bob Arum, all four of these guys, right? All four are pretty much in the same line. They're all getting together in the same bandwagon. Okay? They're all doing the same thing. They're all saying about the same thing. They don't want the fight now. They don't want it in June and July. That's too early. Why? Because Tyson Fury hasn't fought anyone. Do I believe Tyson Fury is afraid of Anthony Joshua? No. I don't. But I believe he's afraid of the idea of going in there cold, going in there from a February fight from Deontay Wilder, then going against Anthony Joshua. This is Tyson Fury, people. Tyson Fury don't defend people like that. He don't do those. He doesn't make those type of fights happen. When has he ever fought someone hard back to back and then fight another guy? No. He doesn't fight hard fights back to back or top fighters back to back. He's never done that. And he probably never will. And until he proves me wrong, I won't be convinced that he's this reigning and defending. He hasn't defended anything. He beat Wilder. He's supposed to give him a rematch. But see, now they're going back to the idea of fighting Wilder. That's like the cherry on top. Boop. Right? So it's one of these things where Bob Arum has been talking about this fight pessimistically anyway, because he knows that his fighter has informed him like, hey, I want to fight. I want a tune-up fight. I didn't get a tune-up fight. And it's partially his fault. Why? Because he didn't deliver to Tyson Fury. Frank Warren and Bob Arum failed Tyson Fury. So before everyone's saying, oh, Eddie Hearn failed Joshua. No, Eddie Hearn was able to get Joshua his fight. They were able to fight in front of 1,000 people, where they had one of the biggest, highest paid athletes to travel over to see that fight in a pandemic in Wembley. Okay. When Joshua fought Pulev, yes, that's what he needed to do. So far as I'm concerned, Eddie Hearn has done a better job than they done for Fury. They couldn't even get Fury a tune-up fight. If you guys remember, he had two promoters. You mean two of you geezers, Bob Arum and Frank Warren. Both of you guys couldn't get together and get this man a fight, even at a reduced rate. Joshua took a reduced rate to fight Pulev for his mandatory on the IBF side, really for everything else, because he had the rest of the belts. But he was able to get that fight done for Joshua. He wasn't sitting around talking about, we have no money. We have no money. Like we're some damn peasants begging for change. Okay, so this is what we have. As comparison to these two guys, they failed Tyson Fury because they should have got Tyson Fury a fight this year or earlier this year or late last year. Really, it was last year. Fury wanted a fight last year. Okay, and then when it bled into this year, I'm like, okay, well, why don't he just fight Wilder? He could just fight Wilder in January, but supposedly he didn't want to do that. So it's kind of hard for me to believe that, you were really that offended against Wilder and that you didn't want to, or you say you'll never fight him, to cut ways with him. And to me at this point, it's an excuse. It looks like an excuse. Why? Because Tyson Fury now saying sticks and stones. Now I like the idea. Why do you like the idea now? You should have fought him then. I know people get angry or whatever and, sensitive, right? And, you don't like anyone talking about your people. I get that. But at the end of the day, that's supposed to stand, okay? That principle's supposed to stand that, hey, no, I don't want to, don't even, if I'm Tyson Fury, I should have this mindset. Don't even bring up the idea of fighting Deontay Wilder a third time for me. I'm going to court with him anyway. That's our battle. I've beat him twice in my mind, right? So guess what? I don't fight him again. It should be he should think the same way about Wilder as Canelo thinks about Golovkin. Counterpunch. Okay, when you talk about fighting someone for a third time, that's the mindset he should have. Now it's, sticks and stones. But no, the problem is Bob Arum and Frank Warren didn't deliver for Tyson Fury, and he was left without a fight. And then all of a sudden, this big fight was available and in the works, and it got too hot for him because they weren't sure if they could beat that guy. Okay, especially him coming off a fight with a reasonable and worthy opponent with only one loss, and his name was Kubrat Pulev. Okay, so that's the problem. That's why Bob was talking the way he's been talking. That's why John Fury was concerned. That's why Frank Warren didn't want it right now. That's why Tyson Fury was talking about other people getting beat, because he was really talking about himself. Okay? That's what he was talking about. He wasn't talking about all these other fighters that lost. He was talking about the idea of him losing and he should get a tune-up fight. So bottom line, people, he wants a tune-up fight. He's going to get a tune-up fight. So Eddie Hearn, for him, stop running around the world, please, because it's not going to do him any good besides give him a headache and probably some bad case of indigestion or some really bad jet lag. Okay. And then and as opposed to Joshua should focus on fighting Usyk. Yes, he will always fight the better opponents. That's why he gets paid the most money, because people know his resume is a lot more girthy. Like I was telling you guys in my live stream, his sandwich is like this, not like that. But anyway, that's my take on Bob Arum stating that this fight is dead in the water because they want it to be. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.